You're listening to the Holistic Spaces podcast brought to you by Mindful Design Feng Shui School, episode 101, January 2021, Holistic Spaces. Can you guys hear that? Okay, forget. Hold on. Right when I'm doing that. Okay, let me start all over. You're listening to the Holistic Spaces podcast brought to you by Mindful Design Feng Shui School, episode 101, January 2021, Holistic Spaces Astrology Forecast with Kristina Wingeier. Welcome to episode 101 of the Holistic Spaces podcast, where we hope to inspire, educate, and empower you to create your own holistic spaces that nurture and resonate with you. Angie Cho and Laura Morris are the founders of the Mindful Design Feng Shui School. Together, they have over 3 decades of experience designing harmonious spaces for their clients in their successful design businesses. Through articles, books, workshops, videos, podcasts, teachings, consultations, everything, Laura and Angie have guided thousands of people to shift their energy and revitalize their living spaces. Mindful Design School offers feng shui courses and certifications. Be sure to check us out at mindfuldesignschool.com. So we have our last podcast of the year, but also our first podcast with Kristina Wingeier. So Kristina is an intuitive astrologer. She's based in California. And if you followed our friends over at Lotus Way on their Flower Lounge podcast, she was the astrologer for that podcast every month. So this is our first episode with Kristina, and we're kicking this off at the end of the year with a new beginning. And we're going to do these monthly astrology forecasts with Kristina. So Kristina, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Wonderful to be
Hi.
here. Hi, Angie. Hi, Laura.
So, Kristina, can you tell us? Let's start it off right. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a consulting and teaching astrologer. I love to integrate the cosmos and the guidance of the planets and the stars with like practical, real life tools, helping. So it's not too esoteric all the time. I live on the Central Coast. I live by the sea. I am very influenced by the tides. I'm a mom. I love my work. I'm ready for 2021.
Well, I'm really excited to even more. I think one of my personal passions is, or actually, Laura too, both of us, is really bringing together the East and the West. And so I love that we're bringing together this Eastern tradition and philosophy and the teachings of feng shui, and and having them dovetail with your wisdom, the Western astrology. So I think this will be a really fun exploration. And um, just for all the listeners, we're just starting this, so we're gonna play and have fun today. So let's see how it goes. So Kristina, what do we have in store for January 2021?
Well, 2020 is over, so we can all just applaud. And really, I mean, it's the beginning of the year, right? So there's always a very enthusiastic, excited energy when we start a new year. And so what we'll see in January is we're going to be introduced to some themes that are going to play out over and over throughout the entire year of 2021. So we really are shifting into new states of being, okay? Establishing foundations, new types of foundations, new plans, new visions. And we will be challenged to reestablish those over and over again throughout the month as well as the year. This month has a lot of opportunities for mental breakthroughs, like really opening up the mind. And there really is, I think, an importance to stay disciplined with the mind and focus with the mind so that you can find new solutions that you're needing in your life. And there's also a general feeling of excitement, we want to go fast, but the need to kind of slow and stabilize. So there's kind of like foot on the gas, foot on the brake, and how to work with that expansive and contractive energy effectively.
Cool. That's really good. By the way, Kristina, I'm really excited that you're here. And full disclosure, everyone out there, I don't know very much, and by very much I mean nothing, about Western astrology, apart from the fact that I'm a Virgo. And I don't know my rising sign. I don't know moon. I don't know any of that business. So this is exciting for me because I'm hoping over, this time together that I will start to learn something. And I think our listeners I know there's lots of them out there that know a ton of this. Like they're very into Western astrology, as many other modalities. So hoping all of you listeners out there are appreciating it because we're pretty excited about it. So thank you, Kristina, for being here because I think you're going to be a really great addition to Holistic Spaces. So listening to you say what you were saying, I was writing notes down. So you said new foundations, new ways of being, which I thought was really cool. And then mental breakthroughs and apart from mental breakthroughs, which I have to think on a little bit more, all of those brought me, and Angie, you can comment on this too. It brought me to the area called Gun, which is self-development. So it's not just about self-development, but it's a ways of, first of all, it's an earth area, which made me think of foundation. And then it made me think of new ways of being. It's all about becoming really self-aware. And so that sort of brought me to that. And then also this idea of stabilizing. It's the mountain. So it has a lot of yang earth in it. So all of these things sort of made me think, I was thinking, oh, okay. So maybe, because we're trying to plug in for you guys at home, when Kristina starts talking about this, we always like to see how we could plug it in for how you can do things from a Feng Shui perspective. So that just sort of got me thinking. I haven't really figured out what beyond that, but you'll keep going and talk more, I'm sure. But that's just my first thoughts.
Beautiful. I love that. This is so cool to get to have you talk about Feng Shui in response to astrology. It's new for me, so very cool. Yeah, the earth, that's definitely, it's earth and air, really, from a Western perspective. And this air is the new ways of thinking, the new ways of creating and visioning together. And there really is a lot of energy this month and this year in the sign of Aquarius, which is an air sign that's very innovative, technological and scientific kind of advances and things like that. And there is this struggle between staying grounded and like flights of fancy, right? So that both have to stay grounded in order to really expand and open up the mind. And that's a big invitation this month, is to get really grounded and open up your mind to new possibilities. So those are some general themes for the month. And then, I thought I would just share some kind of exciting times throughout the month that energy might be happening more, a few dates that are important without needing to like hold fast to like, this is the date I have to do the thing. It's more just like, wow, there's a lot of energy on this day and this is why, and you can just work with it throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year, right? So I thought I would just kind of go sequentially week by week, right? And the year begins on a Friday, so we get to ease into the new year on a weekend, which is nice. But then that Monday, kind of coming back to real life after the holidays and really beginning the new year more professionally and with business and things like that, there's a really powerful aspect that day that will help you focus your mind, right? And to really, it's called Mercury Conjunct Pluto. So Mercury is a planet that's about the mind, it's about the way you think, and Pluto is a planet that's a lot about power, okay? And it can be really, power struggles with other people can happen with the Mercury conjunct Pluto, but it's a really good time of this day, beginning of the year, just like, okay, game plan, right? Focused. And have that discipline, that mental discipline to kind of move throughout the week where there's a lot of planetary changes, a lot of planets changing signs. So kind of stabilizing the mind through this Mercury-Pluto conjunction on the 4th of January. I would also have to say that the 6th of January is also an important day because the planet Mars, which is about action, right, and getting things done, changes signs after being in one sign for 6 months, which is not a normal thing. So we really get a fresh energy when Mars moves into Taurus, more earth energy, and that kind of grounding and stability to work on your projects, right, for the next 6 weeks. There's a lot with astrology that you receive an aspect in the moment and then you work with it over time.
And this is the Mars that the Mars energy we've been working with the past few months in the fall of 2020, or is it different?
Mars has been in Aries for 6 months since the summer of 2020, including that two-month retrograde. So yeah, we were all working with Mars in a really big way in Aries. And now Mars is moving out of that fire sign to fixed Earth and trying to establish new foundations, right, from in this part of your charts. So Taurus energy.
Okay. So, because I know because you and I talk like every day, that was something that you and I personally had a lot of challenge, or a lot of people were having challenges with this whole Mars, the Mars in Aries. And so that's changing at the beginning of the year.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Mars
So, and how did that affect most people, the Mars situation?
in general, Mars is really happy in Aries. That's a sign that Mars rules. So I think at the beginning, people were very enthusiastic and excited and had a lot of energy. And then when the retrograde happened from September to November, a lot of people lost energy. A lot of people lost their kind of drive, or were like questioning what motivates them to get to do things. And there was a lot of depletion that happened during those 2 months with the Mars retrograde. Then Mars turned direct and completed the journey through Aries, and now taking a fresh leap into a new sign where it will stay for just 6 weeks, which is normal for Mars. We're back into like a normal Mars cycle.
Okay, but you said, and so this is the time of being grounded and opening up your mind. You said that.
Yeah, Mars is in Taurus is a workhorse. It's very fixed Earth. It's very steady. However, Mars will encounter Uranus, a planet that is not super steady this month, which will be a little shaky, but hopefully open you up to something new, right?
I see. So what Laura was saying before about Gun position. So on the Feng Shui Bagua map, most of the listeners are familiar with that. There's an area, the Chinese name is Gun, but it's also known by different descriptions like knowledge or self-cultivation or the mountain or young earth. So that does sound like it's kind of energy to work with. It's like the stability, it's cultivating yourself and developing skills.
Yeah, and it's also about transformation too, because you go up one side of the mountain and you come down the other side. So there's that that idea where you discover something about yourself, which I think is really cool. So Kristina, overall, would you say that the energy is more stable in January than it has been? No? Am I missing this?
I think
I'm so bad at this.
we're trying to establish stability, but I think a lot of the stability is for the mind, right? You can stabilize your mind, then you can handle what's happening in your environment better, right?
Okay, yeah. And that works with Gun then. It's about having the skillfulness and stability, because like Laura was giving that visual of going up the mountain, going back down, but the mountain doesn't move. you're going up and you're going down. It's your journey, and it's not something that it may not actually be happening in the outside world or outside of your own perceptions, but there's a journey to be made, and then within that you develop skillfulness and your own stability and steadfastness in your own confidence.
Yeah, stillness is also what that is too, right? The whole being still and being stillness in your own, again, that transformation. You have to like reflect, okay, what am I doing now? Why do I want to do it? And you talked a little bit about maybe a game plan. And then you really have to kind of understand. It gives you a time to sit and think, I suppose. But okay, but I thought it was interesting. You were talking about, okay, so Mercury is the mind and Pluto is power. So and you would mention something about like, should we be spending? Well, I mean, it's natural too. Like already I'm kind of feeling the energy for me is to start to organize and plan. I don't know if that's just the way it is always when I'm around the new year, but it feels to me from what you were saying that it kind of lines up with that a little bit at the beginning of the month to be able to get your mind in order and your plans in order. Is that what you're saying? Did I miss that? Or is that good?
Oh, that makes sense to me. And in fact, January is the Capricorn New Moon. So that was the next thing I'm going to talk about. And that's like a good planning new moon. But before I say that, I want to say Mars and Taurus will give you the energy to go up the mountain and down the mountain. Okay, so it's a motivating force that actually gets you going, right? So, yeah. I will also say before I get to the new moon, because I can't not, on the 8th of January, both Venus and Mercury also change signs. So this first week of the month, the three personal planets, Mercury, the mind and communication, and Venus, the planet of love and money and relationships, and Mars are all changing signs. So it's important. The energy is shifting at the beginning of the month. Mercury moves into Aquarius, which I spoke about, and Venus moves into Capricorn, that earth energy, that mountain. But so for planning, this is the moon to plan definitely the next 6 months, okay? Because with the lunar cycles, it's a 6-month plan is a good thing to do. And the new moon in January is on the 12th. So on the 12th of January, it's a new moon in Capricorn. The moon and sun come together for the new moon, and they're actually conjunct Pluto, that planet that is about power and transformation. So it's a really powerful time to take that mountain steady energy of Capricorn and vision and plan out. I think of this as like the executive mindset new moon, okay? The next 6 months. And if you really focus on a plan, you will see a lot of progress by the time the moon is full in Capricorn on June 24th, 2021. So there's a 6-month time frame to go ahead and get committed. Know that it's a slow and steady kind of progress that you'll be making, and really anchor in to what you want to create that's long lasting. Capricorn's a lot about things that last a long time. And we're really establishing new traditions, right? New ways of doing things in this kind of post or mid-COVID time, right? Where life has been turned upside down. So that new moon is an important opportunity to execute your executive mindset.
Okay, that seems to go along with even just the energy of how we look at the New Year's too. And actually the new moon falls somewhere. Oh, actually, Chinese New Year usually falls, or the new moon is usually right between Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year and Western New Year. And we talk a lot about the Lunar New Year over here, being Feng Shui people. But we have a program that we do every year, a New Year's reset. And part of the exercise we give is to make a list of your intentions and put them to handle it in a specific feng shui way. So those of you who have signed up for that program, let us know how that's going. But I think that's very important to not necessarily write down resolutions, but to write down what you want to manifest, because as they say, spelling is a spell, right? It's the way that we put our intentions into the world in a tangible way.
Okay, so just so I'm getting this, Kristina, you're saying, because I liked what you said and I'm very excited about this. So January 12th, this Capricorn new moon. I'm sure there's people out there going to be like, yeah, look, get really like catch up. But I think I'm getting and I like what you said, that it's okay. So we're getting organized, we're laying the foundation, we're thinking of what we want to do, because things that you create during that time are things that are long lasting. Correct? Okay, I love that. Okay, so for instance, I'm redoing my office. It's really not an important thing, but I'm redoing everything and like the way it's structured and the way it's set up, because my plan is that by that time I am going to set myself up for, because also there's other things. We do the 9-star key, which is another astrology. It's like layering all these modalities on top. But it's nice to know that what I can start in, actually it aligns well with what I have planned. So that's nice. So just to be really intentional about what you're going to be doing in that time and kicking off in January the 12th, because it has the power to be long lasting, right? Am I getting? Yes. Got it.
Totally. And, with astrology, we're always working with cycles, and there's multiple cycles happening at the same time. And this new moon also is, there have been some challenges that maybe were kind of showing up in as far back as August of 2020. And that kind of came to we were challenged again in the end of November. And now, again, it's these repeating aspects that are happening with this moon. So it's really like a time to kind of move past a challenge and set this plan, right? And it's really a mental game. It's really a mental game. It's a very powerful week. Actually, it was hard to pick a date. There's so many things happening the second week of January. One more thing that I will say that's happening a few days after this new moon is the planet Uranus, which is a lot about change and liberation and freedom, stations direct. And so what this means is from the 14th of January to the 30th of January, all the planets are direct. So what you're establishing and visioning into and setting yourself up for at this new moon, you're going to have 2 weeks to really like hit the ground and establish a pattern and a plan. And like it takes you have to commit to things and show up and do them. And you're going to have a nice opportunity. The planets are all working in your favor to help move you forward and whatever that might be.
I like that.
Ooh, yeah, we like that.
Mhm.
Laura, you and I have to we have to work on something then.
Well, we have to we will be. We always are.
Well, we're always working on something.
We're always working on something.
We're always joking. I'm like, am I creating more work for us? She's
No,
like,
I always ask her, wait, before you start, does this mean it's more work for me? That's what we like. Whenever she's like, can we talk for a second? I have an idea.
But actually, Kristina, you're going to love this too. So we already have our next episode planned that will come out after this. And we're going to talk about the new year and talk about our own experience of what happened in 2020 for each of us and ways that we're inviting in the new year. So this is great inspiration for that. But I'm going to end that episode. So it's going to be episode 102 coming out a week after this one. We're going to do a virtual meditation, a visualization where you actually walk through a door that you've created. So I'm going to definitely tie in what you're talking about, that you're walking through this door into the space that you want to be in, and at this time that it's going to air will be a really auspicious time to set those intentions to have long-lasting results.
That sounds beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot of energy with this new moon that's new ideas and new visions that you'll plan out over the next couple of years. So that's also woven in here. You know, I did mention that it was from the 14th to the 30th that you'll have all the direct energy. So I have to say, for the Mercury's retrograde sensitives out there who feel it when Mercury goes into what's called its shadow phase, which is when Mercury passes over the degree that it will retrograde back to, that does happen on Friday the 15th when Mercury is at 11 degrees Aquarius, for your astrology buffs out there, because it's really that time where you might start to notice the like questioning yourself, or things aren't coming as easily, or you're starting to get a little bit sensitive. This is definitely something I'll talk about in a minute, more Mercury retrograde, but just for the sensitives out there, the 15th. So the kind of third week of January is a very wild week with a pretty extreme energy, but I'm going to speak about two things. First of all, the sun enters Aquarius, so the sun changes signs, the solar season changes on the 19th. And so we're moving from earth to air with the sun. Aquarius is an air sign, and again, it's looking for a big vision. It's very humanitarian. It's very innovative energy, and what you want to do in your own life is there's a place in your chart where Aquarius moves through every year. It's time to look at those topic matters in your own natal chart if you look at that. But for all of us, we have the sun in Aquarius, which is a little more detached and available to see big pictures than sometimes Capricorn. That's happening on the 19th. And then the 20th, which happens to be Inauguration Day here in the States where Angie and I live, there's a pretty potent aspect that is Mars, motivation, conjunct Uranus, liberation. Okay, no, again, Taurus is a sign, it's fixed earth. It wants stability, and Uranus is shaking up the stability. So this aspect could create a lot of energy and enthusiasm, but it also could really be intense on the nervous system and your energy levels. But it's a very powerful merging of energy happening that is speaking of change, right? Breaking up a pattern and reestablishing that new foundations. And you'll feel the energy of this for a long time, but it is happening on the 20th. And it's kind of again, it's hard to pick. There's a lot going on this month, but it's a pretty important aspect to consider, and to consider how you stabilize your body, your mind, your nervous system, really, so that you can work whatever challenges might be coming your way, because there's plenty of other challenges astrologically this week.
Yeah, that makes me think about, it might be a good time also in your home to make sure that if you have any loose light fixtures or any like furniture that's falling apart, maybe you have a chair that always breaks when you sit on it, like it's a time to also make sure that things are fastened well and secured well in your home, because not only does that create, it does actually create difficulty on your for your energy, but also like on your body and your nervous system, because you can't rely on it, or if you're worried about something falling down all the time, even though consciously you're not thinking about it. So if you're listening and you're like, oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about, there's something that you're supposed to be fixing in your home, whether it's the broken light bulb or the broken door or something that's about to fall off, take the time, hire someone to fix it properly, or fix it properly yourself. What is going to take an hour? Do it. And I think that's going to create stability for you and your nervous system and the energy in your home.
Love it. Love it. I would also really say that this is also the time, if you know you need to back up your computer, or you need to clean out, do something with your technology, because we are going to end the month with a Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, and promises to be a more technologically challenged one than some others because of the Aquarius energy. So backing up and cleaning, and if you need new technology, like you need to buy a new phone, just get it, like Angie's saying, just do it now. Okay, so the last kind of day I'm going to talk about, or the last little bit here, two things for the last week of the month. I'm going to speak to the full moon. The full moon is on the 28th, and this is a full moon in Leo, so it's fire moon. It's a very, very powerful moon. I would invite you to reflect back 6 months to August 18th, which is when you would be setting your Leo intentions, right? So this is something's manifested, something's grown from those intentions, time to celebrate them. Leo is a lot about celebration and play and creativity, right? Leo wants to have fun, right? It's passionate. And there are some other things with other planets on this day that make it even more special. One of these aspects being the Sun and Jupiter are coming together for their annual conjunction. And this is sometimes considered to be like the luckiest day of the year, because Jupiter is a planet of good luck and opportunity. The Sun and Jupiter together have the most gravitational force of the planets, the field of energy between them. So when they line up, it's a very powerful field of energy. It's in Aquarius, which is a sign, again, it's visionary and innovative. And this is the new mindset and the humanitarian values that we're building and living. And also on this full moon, Venus, love, money, relationships, makes a conjunction with Pluto, power, rebirth. So there's something very celebratory here at the end of the month, even though it may have been a stressful and challenging month in some ways. And Mercury's about to go retrograde on the 30th. So
Yeah, Laura's face lit up when you said that. It's the most
I was the luckiest.
auspicious, the best day of the year.
I was like, "Ooh, wait, what was that day again? The luckiest day?"
it's January 28th with the
January 28th. That was the Jupiter.
Sun conjunction.
Yeah. I have a question. As just to learn from a learning standpoint on my part. So would you say that this kind of January that you've gone through, is it very shifty? Is it much more shifting energies than normal, or is this typical for a month? Like, to me, it feels like when you're talking about these things, there's lots of things shifting positions and moving and coming direct and stuff, and then there's the retrograde. Is this typical, or do you think January has more energetic movement in it than typical? And then coming back to this whole idea of being still and trying to still yourself during this time? I mean, is that right? Or is it pretty normal?
Well, it's a both and. Like, there's always things changing, going back, retrograde, planets change a lot. This is a pretty active month, and it really is establishing some themes that I think will play out throughout the year. It's pretty vibrant, right? Pretty active, but it's been, astrologically speaking, we are in a period of time that began before 2021, really 2019, even earlier, of really great change. And so this month, the beginning of the year, is setting up some aspects that will be playing out throughout the year. And so there's a lot. It is an important month and kind of unusual, but it's not unusual that things change a lot, if that makes sense.
Okay. No, that's good to know. Okay. So for this month overarching, I'm thinking, and I'm sort of thinking it selfishly too, because I sort of think about what I'm going to do, given what you've said. I think it does bring me back to the idea that there is a lot of shift happening in places, as you mentioned, there's always is. And actually, Angie, I really like what you brought up about fixing things. So maybe, the energies are going to be a lot about change and shift and action. And there's a lot of that talk and starting things over, but we really need to be mindful of how we do it. We move into it to prepare properly And maybe in some of the busier times that you've mentioned, or when the energy is feeling a little bit more, there's more upheaval, to not maybe create and do and act because you've already, but maybe instead to sort of prepare, fix, back up, do those things to prepare for this time that's a little more unsettled. That's sort of what I'm getting it from it. So I like Angie's suggestion. So, from a feng shui standpoint, we always say it's best, even before you go off and do all these resetting and space clearings and this and that, you need to fix, and you need to like take stock, and you need to look at the mundane things that are, because if you just go ahead and start space clearing and moving and enhancing and doing this and you still haven't fixed, it's not going to hold. Like, you need to kind of go back and look and see what is it that you need to repair, stabilize, and steady. Then you can start doing, and actually it's really a good, because for Angie and I coming into February, I don't know what it's going to be like from a Western standpoint, but we do our ceremony that we do, which is all about peeling away the year before and doing a transcendental ceremony in order for you to clear your chi, right? To let go of what happened year before. So for me, I feel like it's a good time to prep and fix. I don't know.
I agree with you. And you keep saying, you guys, both of you are all fix, right? It's really interesting because 2021 has a lot of planetary energy in fixed signs, right? Fixed signs like to be stable and steady. And this is why this idea of trying to establish new foundations that are going to be challenged throughout the year, and how you have to keep reestablishing your own stability through changing what's not really a solid foundation to begin with, right?
Yeah, and actually that's an interesting word, fix, because in general, I don't like that word fix too much because, well, it's interesting because there's different parts of it, but so when we talk about fixing the things around your home, that's like repairing them. But also most people have this feeling that they need to fix themselves, and that's not the message that we're sending, that you need to fix yourself. But then there's also this other aspect of fixing where the fixed signs, it is becoming stable. So it's really this idea of how do we work with what we have, don't look outside of us for answers, but really look at what we have, look in our own backyard, see what needs to be stabilized, what we can rely on and what we can focus on, and begin to heal those parts of ourselves in our home. And I'm even looking up definitions of fix or synonyms, like to fasten, stabilize, establish, define. So yeah, we just want to like reiterate, I think all three of us agree. We don't think that any of you need to fix yourself, but know that the things in your home or the things that you're working on are worth that time and attention to if you can offer that time and attention and value it and repair things and put energy into that, then there's a lot of value and a lot of value to that, to gain from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so fixed air, Aquarius. I'm going to end the month and the days with the Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. Okay, so that's happening on the 30th of January, and the retrograde goes all the way through to the 20th of February. So I know people like to have those dates for the retrograde. And remember, I spoke earlier about Aquarius and how this is an important sign for all of us, both on the collective level and on the individual level, because of the planetary action that is happening in this sign this year. It's a big deal. And so with Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, we are going to be invited to kind of look at where we get stuck in our mind, where our own limitations keep us from having new ideas come through and new visions. And with the Aquarian energy in general, it's really important to remember, like, we live in a time now where we're more and more technologically connected. Like, it's really important to understand that all of our actions impact everyone. It's this humanitarian kind of way of living. And so we have to change the way we think about what we do, to live into the new life and the new world that we're trying to build together. And so this retrograde period that begins at the end of the month with Mercury, our first retrograde of the year, we always have 3, is going to be an invitation to start rewiring your mind, right? Repatterning your brain. Things that were fixed, maybe we can, if they're fixed and stuck, maybe it's time to clear some energy there.
Yeah, that's really, I like that. I get the sense, and I know from Angie when things go into retrograde that stuff is important. And it's a time, but I've always seen it as a time to, as you said, like, get unstuck, and maybe it's challenging, but there's a reason for it. And, going through it, it's a process. So not to look at it as a negative, because that just, I would be exhausted if you looked at everything as a negative and you couldn't see that it's an opportunity to shift something. That was awesome, Kristina. Thank you. I learned a lot. I apologize for my ignorance, but by the time we're done 2021, man, I'm going to be like, I'm going to have better questions. But no, that was great.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. And, it's really, planets go retrograde all the time. Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year. It's a really important rest cycle, actually, because, if you're always busy doing and creating and making new things without reviewing and resting, it's really a natural cycle where you get an opportunity to slow down. So I'm glad to be here. This is fun. It's really cool to hear y'all talk about the Feng Shui kind of responses. And I'm glad that you enjoyed learning too, Laura, because I love to teach. So, yay.
Well, thank you, Kristina. And so for the listeners, thank you so much for listening to the last episode of the year, but the first episode with Kristina. We're going to start this year off right with Kristina. And her website will be in our show notes and her bio. So be sure to check out her offerings, KristinaWingeier.com. And so thank you all for listening to this final episode for 2020. What a year, right? Of the Holistic Spaces podcast. And you can now tune in every Monday. So starting 2021, we're now doing this every Monday. This is an occasion where Laura was creating more work for me.
That was true. It was my idea. Yes.
So I'm like, are you creating more work for me? So tune in every Monday now for a new podcast episode. And don't forget, one of those Mondays will be the monthly forecast with Kristina. And if you like our episode or this podcast, please share it with others. And you can subscribe on iTunes. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. I don't know what we're on, but we have someone else take care of that. Or to our website. Anyway, if you'd like to explore the world of holistic spaces and feng shui on an even deeper level, please visit our website, online store, and blog for more information about feng shui and holistic living. You can support the podcast. We do have a Patreon, but we mostly would like you to support the podcast by checking out our mini courses and certifications at mindfuldesignschool.com. You can also submit any questions that we answer on future podcasts. Oh, by the way, you should definitely sign up for our newsletter. We added some kind of thing on our show notes now where you can sign up for our newsletter, because we have a lot of offerings that we only send out through our newsletter. So sign up for our newsletter, and we will see you next week, every week now. So thank you.